This is going to be a little bit, you would say it's like the Quantic, but with the turbo option, right? So it's going to be a little bit sportier, a little bit racier. Quantic SF is a brand new shoe that's going to be coming out for spring 22. As we describe the Quantic as a shoe that's good at everything all around, from bouldering, sport climbing, trad, big wall, from moderate to advanced levels. You can imagine the Quantic SF is a slightly softer, slightly more downturned version of the Quantic. So this would be for the person that's looking for a nice, comfortable shoe that's not super expensive, but they are looking for a little bit more performance via like sport climbing or bouldering. But the same idea, it still has a full length outsole, just like we did on the Quantic, but this does use the grip rubber. We want the grippy rubber on here, but full underfoot support. It still tapers as we go from toe to heel, so you still are going to have a little bit of sensitivity, flexibility underneath the arch when you actually do need to grab at steep terrain. This does have a unique one-piece frame system. So the SF in the Quantic's name stands for single frame. The single frame is one piece that runs along the entire outside of the foot and then wraps back around underneath here. So you can actually see a bit of an overlap on the outside of the shoe. So basically the rand is attached here, wraps all the way up and around, and then back over. And basically the idea with the single frame, as you can tell with some of these cutaways here, is to basically hold and support the shoe from underneath just like a hand, from front to back, much like we do with a SRT on some of our more advanced shoes to really wrap that forefoot, give a really good, precise, and really snug performance fit in the front. This will really cradle the whole foot from front to back. So no loss of forward pressure, but also super comfortable. And also what's unique is you can see these cutaways here. Since this is one piece, the outside of the shoe, especially if you're using it bouldering, sport climbing, rarely comes into contact with rock. So we're actually able to make this part of the rand a little bit thinner. So it's going to be way more comfortable on the outside of the toes, which can be a really, uncomfortable pressure point for a lot of people if they're fitting these kind of in performance. So a little bit thinner on the outside as opposed to the inside. Also, these cutaways act almost like a three-stage bellow, like a bend. So if you're on a really big surface, maybe you're smearing, there's an obvious breaking point here, a little bit smaller hold, there's a flex point here, a really small hold, flex point here. And the reason for these flex points is because if this was one continuous piece, if you're standing on a really small hold, sometimes it can cause a little bit of deformation of the shoe on the outside. Your foot might move a little bit on the inside of the shoe, and then it might become a little bit less precise, and you slide off of the small hold that you're trying to stand on. So a really cool system that basically, again, cradles the whole foot from front to back, especially underneath the forefoot, and just really gives a nice, good wrapping sensation, much like you'd find in one of our specialized performance shoes. You see on the toe here, there's one little strip of rubber. So that's M50 rubber. That's really sticky. So if you're toe hooking, actually pulling towards yourself as opposed to pushing away, you do have the stickiest rubber that we offer in the most critical area. Obviously, the outsole is its own thing, right? It's the only piece that's on the bottom of the shoe that actually integrates in the path. The Quantic is coming in at $159, so a really good price for a really great all-around shoe. And this is going to be, being that it's a little bit more performance, a little bit more technology built in, is going to be at $179. One other feature on the Quantic and the Quantics that typically we only put in some of our specialized performance shoes, we call soft touch, is a form of microsuede, microfiber. That's where that black piece of material, you can see visually that it's different. It's along with the path, kind of distributing that, that pressure, making it more comfortable in the back. That soft touch material on the inside of the heel cup is also going to make it just really soft, really comfortable in the back of the shoe. And again, if you're standing on really small holds for a long time, a lot of pressure in the back, you want it as comfortable as possible. And that's just one other small, attention to detail that SCARPA wanted to incorporate to make sure that they're the most comfortable along with the highest performance shoes that we can make.